What is going on, Trash Talkers? We are back with another episode for you. In today's episode, we're going to be talking about the most improved NFL teams. Now that the draft is over, we're going to take a look at free agency, we're going to take a look at the draft, and we're going to tell you which teams in the NFL are most improved. All that and much more coming your way right now! Hey, Trash Talkers, it's Mike here. Over 93% of you who view our show each and every day are not subscribed to the channel. If you could hit that red subscribe button, it would help us out tremendously, and it is completely free for you guys. If you want to stay up to date with our daily content, then click that bell icon and you will be notified every time we go live. Nick and I both really appreciate you subscribing to the channel, and we can't wait to keep making more daily content for you. All right, Nick, with the draft finally over, we have to take a step back and take a look at everything that happened in free agency, everything that led up to the NFL draft, the players that were selected, and then we have to take a look and say which teams came out on top, which teams won the offseason by overhauling their team and getting better, which teams are the most improved.
Yeah, we definitely have to start with the New York Giants, and they made a couple of moves on defense to definitely help them out, but that's not what stands out to me. It's what they did on offense. Now that Nate Solder is returning, your offensive line can really take shape, and now that that's taken care of, now you can sign guys like Kenny Golladay and John Ross, and now you can go get Kadarius Toney in the draft and Kyle Rudolph in free agency. There are so many weapons on this offense for Daniel Jones. It doesn't matter if a couple of them go down throughout the season due to injury or whatnot. They have plenty of backups and plenty of pieces that can help them not only win this division, but make a playoff push. So I think the Giants really hit a home run this offseason through free agency and the draft. And on defense, adding Adoree Jackson to James Bradbury was a huge add. This secondary continues to get stronger, and then they add Azeez Ojulari on the front line with Leonard Williams retaining him. Absolutely massive. So this team really is headed in the right direction, and the team I think that is leading the division.
Yeah, I like the moves that the Giants made this offseason, and I like what they were able to do with their team. And they had an idea. We need to fix up this offense, give Daniel Jones as many pieces around him as humanly possible, and then we got to add some pieces to this defense. Get another cornerback in here. Get a lot of edge help, because that was a major issue for them, was not being able to garner pressure. I saw James Bradbury in coverage for 5, 6, 7 seconds at times, where he was just running around trying to stay with his receiver, and there was no pressure being garnered on opposing quarterbacks. So kudos to the Giants. They did a great job. I want to move over to a team that was poised to make a big run this offseason, the Jacksonville Jaguars, with the most money to spend in free agency and the number one draft selection in this draft. They were able to overhaul this team from the get-go. And it starts with getting the right coach in there, getting Urban Meyer to come in there and take over as the head coach for the Jacksonville Jaguars, set the tone from the get-go this offseason that they were not playing around. They were done trying to rebuild this team for years on end. This was their time, and they were going to make the most of it. So going through their draft, they got Trevor Lawrence and Travis Etienne, two great players coming out of Clemson. Tyson Campbell, a top 5 corner in this draft. Walker Little, an incredibly talented tackle. Andre Cisco, a great safety. Jay Tufili, an incredibly talented defensive tackle, and others through the draft. Then you go to who they were able to get in free agency, and the list just keeps going on and on. They were able to place the franchise tag on Cam Robinson. They signed Roy Robertson Harris for 3 years. They got plenty of players like Philip Dorsett, Carlos Hyde, Rayshon Jenkins. They re-signed Sidney Jones. brought in Jihad Ward. They signed Chris Manhertz at tight end, Tyson Alualu, Malcolm Brown from the New Orleans Saints, Marvin Jones, the wide receiver, coming over from the Detroit Lions, Josh Oliver, and CJ Beathard to be their backup quarterback. I mean, the list can keep going if you wanted to, but I think when you take a look at what Jacksonville has put together, they have a solid offensive line. They have a 1-2 combination at running back. They have dynamic wide receivers. They got their quarterback for the future. The offense is pretty much set. On top of that, then you take a look at what they did on defense, and they still have some space to grow. But everything that they were able to do, all the pieces they were able to garner, they were able to do a lot of smart things and work on both sides of the ball. This team is going to be pretty special moving forward.
It absolutely is. And moving on, the Cleveland Browns are a massive overhaul in the making. Not only did they strike gold last offseason, but this offseason as well, they continued magic, and it was mostly the defensive side of the ball that sticks out. This is where they struggled in the postseason last year against the Kansas City Chiefs. Well, if you had this defense last year, then the Kansas City Chiefs were in some deep doo-doo, because looking at who they got, you added Malik Jackson on the front seven, and you get Tommy Togiai in the draft. You add Jadeveon Clowney, Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah, and Anthony Walker to completely overhaul this linebacking core, and then you have Tack McKinley in the background just to help out when needed. And then you add Greg Newsome II in the draft, on top of Troy Hill, who you got from the Los Angeles Rams in free agency, and then John Johnson III, the big safety, also from the Los Angeles Rams, to go along with Grant Delpit, who didn't play last season. This team is ready to rumble. They are ready to go. They are a scary team, and one that can really compete with anybody else in the league. This is the team to beat. I don't care if you're the Chiefs. You have to work uphill and get past this team.
Yeah, I mean, the biggest offensive weapon that you didn't even talk about was Odell Beckham Jr. is coming back to this offense. On top of the fact that they got arguably the fastest player in this draft in Anthony Schwartz coming out of Auburn at the wide receiver position to add to the plethora of weapons that they have. They have a two-headed monster at tight end with David Njoku and Austin Hooper. You have Jarvis Landry, Odell Beckham Jr., now Anthony Schwartz. You have a dynamic duo with Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt in the running back in the backfield, and then obviously Baker Mayfield, who has proven that he can do the job. I love what the Cleveland Browns have done on both sides of the ball. Incredible job all the way around. A team that I have talked a lot about in our last couple of videos, the Carolina Panthers. What this team has done from start to finish cannot go unnoticed. And I want to give credit where credit is due. Through the draft, they were able to get J.C. Horn, a top cornerback, Terrace Marshall, my favorite receiver in this draft, Tommy Tremble, a very productive tight end coming out of Notre Dame, Chuba Hubbard, a very productive running back coming out of Oklahoma State, Davion Nixon, possibly one of the biggest steals of the draft, coming in the fifth round at defensive tackle. Loved what he put on at Iowa. Deontay Brown, the biggest human on the face of the planet, I believe. This man is an absolute mauler coming out of the University of Alabama. He knows how to pass protect. He knows how to run block. He can do absolutely everything. Then you go to what they did in free agency. They were able to sign. They were able to place the franchise tag on Taylor Moton. They brought in Cam Irving from the Dallas Cowboys. They signed Pat Elflein from the New York Jets. They brought in Daquan Jones from the Tennessee Titans. They signed linebackers Denzel Perryman and Hassan Reddick. They signed defensive lineman Morgan Fox from the Los Angeles Rams. They brought in Rashawn Melvin as a depth piece at the cornerback position, and they brought in David Moore, the wide receiver from the Seattle Seahawks. The Carolina Panthers did incredible things, and I didn't even go over the number one move that they made. Trading for Sam Darnold and not giving up a first round draft pick is the obvious choice here. The Carolina Panthers got their guy for the future. They moved on from Teddy Bridgewater. They got their guy in Sam Darnold, and I love what the Panthers have done building this roster.
Yeah, they're definitely a special team, and one that we're going to have to watch out for moving into the season, because You think that they've already overtaken the Saints as the number 2 team in this division. I think it's yet
Sir.
to be seen, but I am on the way. I believe that they have what it takes to become the next big team in that division, and Matt Rule in his second year is going to prove a lot because he proved a lot in year 1. He's only going to improve on that. So there's a lot of upside for the Carolina Panthers, and there's a lot to look forward to. But one final team to go over, biggest winner of the offseason, it's the New England Patriots. And not even being a homer, they've just absolutely gone out in free agency. We've talked about it extensively, getting 12 plus players in free agency that are going to be starters for you is absolutely massive. Spending the most amount of guaranteed money ever in any free agency ever, the most amount of guaranteed money. That's what Bill Belichick did. And then having a draft just like he did, getting steals in the second and third rounds, getting a solid talent in Mac Jones in the first round without even having to trade up. There are plenty of guys on this roster that are going to not only improve it upon last year, but bring this Patriots back into title contention. They are clearly a playoff team. It's just a matter of how well they will perform in next season, how well Cam can improve upon last year, and see how far he can take this team.
Yeah, I mean, Bill Belichick said it best. Cam Newton, definitely one of those players that he can write his own legacy at this point. He has the ball in his hands, and it's Cam's show. I love what the Patriots were able to do, bringing in Jonnu Smith and Hunter Henry. I love what they were able to do on defense with Kyle Van Noy coming back, my best friend, Matthew Judon coming off the edge, and then what they did in the draft with Christian Barmore and Ronnie Perkins, absolutely incredible. I mean, I loved it just as a Patriots fan, but what this Patriots team did showed me that they were ready to rebuild very quickly. This was not going to be a 3-4 year long drought. They were not here to spend time in the losers bracket. They are ready to compete with the Buffalo Bills for this AFC East title, and I'm very excited for that. All right, well, that's going to do it for now. Thank you all for watching. Make sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Hit that notification bell. We go live every single day. That'll be all. Peace and love.